For those of you that don't know, the transcript for the first DNC fraud lawsuit hearing is available online, and I'll link to that down below. But as I kind of make my way through it, because it's very long, the hearing was 5 hours, I continue to find more and more things that are just downright disturbing. So by now, there's a lot of revelations that we found out once this hearing came to light. So we know that the DNC's lawyers couldn't really define impartiality. They also said that if the DNC wanted to, they could go in a smoke-filled back room with cigars and unilaterally choose who the nominee would be. So these are all things that are problematic. However, when I read through more of the transcripts, there's another tidbit in here that I found to be really problematic. So on page 44 of the transcripts, they argue that Bernie Sanders supporters shouldn't be suing the DNC because they can't prove that they were injured, stating with respect to the individuals who they are, they haven't actually alleged specific injury. They've just said that they donated money, and although we are not relying on this for our standing argument, this kind of goes to plausibility. There are statements in the public by some of these class representatives that show there was no reliance and no injury. Some of them even gave money in order to participate in this lawsuit. So they're really making two claims here. One, they're saying that there's no injury. They're playing dumb here, saying that the DNC didn't actually rig the primaries against Bernie Sanders. And second of all, they're alleging that we're opportunistic. They're saying that some Bernie Sanders supporters didn't even support Bernie, but they donated to him just because they wanted to be part of the lawsuit. This is the argument that an attorney is making. And not just any attorney, the DNC's attorney. So let me ask this attorney this. If it were the case that Bernie Sanders supporters were opportunistic and they just wanted to get involved with this lawsuit, well, did they have a crystal ball to be able to predict the lawsuit? Because we didn't really know about the lawsuit until late June. So how could we have possibly anticipated a lawsuit? I mean, it's not like literally every single one of us came together to file the lawsuit, but I mean, how would we have been able to predict that? And furthermore, think of how illogical that is. You're literally saying that someone donated to Bernie Sanders just so that way they can sue the DNC and get their money back. So isn't that a gamble? You're donating with the hopes that you can get your money back and maybe make a little bit more money, if the damages portion goes through. But that just makes no sense. You are saying that we're opportunistic when the DNC was the opportunistic one. They were the ones that went above and beyond and colluded with Hillary Clinton before any of her opponents entered the race in order to tip the scales in her favor and create a primary process that disproportionately disadvantaged all of her opponents, mostly Bernie Sanders, who was her biggest challenger, obviously. So to say that we're opportunistic, it's so it's so aggravating to me, or at least some were opportunistic. So I'm surprised to hear a lawyer making this claim, but they also, more on them playing dumb, they state, counsel said that the plaintiffs are seeking an injunction to prevent the DNC from engaging in future conduct and future elections of this type. That's exactly right. Again, very vague allegations of what the conduct at issue is. No real answer to how a federal court can tell a party how it should conduct its affairs going forward. So yeah, they're playing dumb, and they're saying, well, how did we, they can't even prove how we rigged the primary. But thankfully, WikiLeaks emails and, the Guccifer emails will be admissible in court. And I mean, we have Debbie Wasserman Schultz on the media who talked about the chair throwing incident in Nevada, where she just basically made it up along with other Democratic operatives, saying that Bernie Sanders supporters got violent and, Democratic officials, DNC officials, were scared for their lives. When we know that that wasn't true. Snopes debunked that. Nobody was throwing chairs. Somebody picked up a chair and then put it back down, and they hugged it out. So that was a lie. So we have Debbie Wasserman Schultz on the record, on the media, lying about Bernie Sanders supporters. And we know it was a lie because we had the video footage. And thankfully, Jared Beck, who is the attorney representing Bernie Sanders supporters, actually brought up the chair throwing incident. So, let's hope this goes through. I'm definitely crossing my fingers, but what was stated here is exactly right, that we are doing this to make sure that the DNC can't rig future elections. I think that the Republican and the Democratic Party must conduct business fairly. especially if it's in your charter and you say so. I mean, if you're not going to be fair, then that's fine. Good luck getting anybody to vote for you. But they know that nobody would vote for them if they knew the process was rigged. So they convinced us it was fair and that they were impartial, and then they rigged it against us. And now they're playing dumb and saying that Bernie Sanders supporters were opportunistic, and basically that this lawsuit is frivolous. They're suing the DNC, and they donated to Bernie Sanders just so they can be part of this class action lawsuit. That's nonsense, and it's really a shameful argument that the DNC is making.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.